Summertime and the living's easy. Spencer Jakab, Ahead of the Tape columnist, you can see here, C1, Money and Investing. There's his column. Summer is looking good for gas guzzlers. Time to go out and buy an SUV? Maybe not. But is that $4 gas, that big bugaboo, is it going to come? Probably not. Spencer Jakab, how you doing today?
Doing all right. So things are looking much better.
Things are looking better.
Yeah.
How much better? Because look, I got to tell you, I'm still looking at gas around $3.50, $3.40. That doesn't sound so hot to me.
That's right. I love how people say, oh, it's a form of stimulus for consumers. I mean, if you look at the change from the beginning of April until now on a national basis, it's about, I'd say, spread over a year, about $40 to $45 billion extra in consumers' pockets. What people fail to mention is that prices are, historically speaking, very, very high. I mean, if you go back, 18 months, they were a lot lower. So it's hard to exactly portray it as a form of stimulus, but it's better than it could have been.
Right, and that 45 billion number, I mean, like you said, it's an annualized number. That's if prices stayed here for, annualized, right?
Compared to their peak 2 months ago.
Compared to the peak 2 months ago, right. It would be that. So it's not, exactly. But, I mean, we do have to say, gas prices are lower.
Right. And for people
here on the East Coast, right?
That's right. I mean, so there are different regions for refining. So the West Coast, sorry, you're out of luck, because that region is an island unto itself, because the Rockies sort of cut off the pipelines, and so it really when prices are low here, it doesn't help that much, and they've had some refinery fires and other things, and so inventories are pretty tight there, and prices are usually very high in California anyway, and those haven't really budged. But the rest of the country,
inventories here, and you see the chart we have up now is that's a national inventory number. Inventories have been dropping. And that is part of the picture, right?
That's part of the picture, and if you look at that in and of itself, you'd say, well, that's not very good. Driving season just began last week. This is the figure as of last week, including the estimate. I think we're about 15 minutes away from the release of inventory data from the Department of Energy for the week ended May 25th. But it's not a problem, and there are several reasons for that. One is we're driving less than we used to. So in terms of weeks of cover, we're actually right about where we were a year ago, only slightly worse in terms of inventories. Another reason is ethanol makes up a bigger part of the mix by volume, and so you have to also factor that in. And the last thing is that oil inventories have literally, and I'm not talking about the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, I'm talking about private sector, have never been as high. They are at an all-time high and likely to rise again today. So, I mean, we have plenty of oil to refine.
I know oil is down again today. It's around $87 a barrel. I mean, those high inventories, why aren't they driving prices even lower? Where's my 87 cents a gallon gas?
Well, that's U.S. inventories, and one reason that you have very high U.S. inventories is because you have a lot of oil being produced in places where it's not very convenient to get it out, and then not very convenient. I mean, that the Keystone XL pipeline as a whole, would have been one of the solutions to that, bringing crude down from Canada, but also would have been part of the solution from getting oil from the mid-continent, where production is ramping up, down to the Gulf Coast, where it could be even exported, or at least refined, and then the refined product could be exported. And there are all kinds of bottlenecks that are going to take a few years to work out, and that's one reason that there's plenty of crude, and that's one reason why WTI, which is the U.S. benchmark, it's a higher quality crude than Brent, slightly higher quality. So historically, it's been slightly pricier than Brent, and it's been at a very steep discount, as much as $26. It's about $17 right now, and so there's a glut of crude for U.S. refiners in certain regions.